As the Finance Minister prepares to present the 2021 mid-year budget review statement to Parliament, the minority is asking him to clearly spell out his plan to deal with the country's rising debt. They are also asking for a clear plan on how to combat growing hardship in the country. NDT MP on the Finance Committee, Ben Podo, says the economy needs immediate salvaging. He says more needs to be done to cut down on government spending.
So I will expect that the minister will come tomorrow and be truthful to the nation. Already we've got snippets of information about the shortfalls in revenue, which were estimated to be realized within the first 5 months. He should be truthful to us and tell us the reasons why these shortfalls are coming and what measures the government will adopt to stem these reductions in our revenue expectations. And then the borrowing, which has landed us into very severe debt risk situations, we should find a way of curtailing the borrowing, and then institute measures to start the redemption of our debt. You know, in the former government, during Setekpe's period, we created the sinking fund, which will be used to be servicing our debts. But since they came, they abandoned it, and it was only last year that they reintroduced it. So we'll see how vigorously that can be pursued to reduce our total debt stock. Those are the things that I expect him to come and discuss with us tomorrow.
In terms of expenditures and how government uses the mega resources that it has, any expectations in that regard in terms of how that can help deal with the debt situation?
You see, we are unhappy about the way expenditures are being managed. We don't have the details. They give this figure today, that tomorrow another figure comes up. Look at the distortions or the contradictory figures being given for the COVID expenditure on water. Which one is acceptable? What is the truth? That's why we are even calling for forensic audit of the COVID expenditures.
NPP MP on the Finance Committee, Stephen Amwa, says the current debt situation is better than what the NDC left in 2001. He blames the situation on COVID-19 and assures the government is committed to dealing with the debt situation.
The capitalist, we are going to give the best that Ghanaians are expecting to harmonize these areas, create more jobs, reduce reduce cost of living, increase standard of living, and making sure that we consolidate, we restore and continue with our debt levels within manageable framework in the very near future. We'll do all these things.
What would you expect to hear from the finance minister on that bit in terms of the debt management? Your colleagues are warning that at the current rate where we are spending up to 85% of revenue paying back debt, they think that by 2023 we may not even be able to pay back our debts. What will you hope the finance minister deals with?
But do you know, our colleagues have taken us to over 140% debt to GDP ratio before, and we lived. Go and check the year 2000. When the NDC, they were handing over power to us, our debt to GDP was over 140%. Did we die? So what are they talking about? But if you talk about change, that is increment in terms of our debt portfolio, they've done worse than us. Go and check. Every 4 years, go and check debt increment. But the debt to GDP is unfortunate because we are not growing. And we are not growing because productivity has been on hold. You know what is happening in the whole world and in Ghana. Revenue generation is down. You know, industries are not operating that they used to. Trading activities are not. So definitely these are key functions of GDP. And if they are key functions of GDP, and because of natural disaster or global crisis, they are not growing and we are spending, debt to GDP will be this. even with us, we've done our best. I think under NDC it would have been about 600.
Would we be able to fix this ever? At least in the short term?
Of course. You can't talk about short term, but we are putting pragmatic measures in place to ensure that it doesn't go more alarming, and we have structured program to restore these things. And that's why in our budget, do you know that even our deficit, we have reviewed our deficit in our main budget from 9.5 to 9.4. It's most likely we can do some of these things and make sure that we'll do that.
Well, a member of Parliament for Old Tafo, Vincent Assefa, who is also on the Education Committee, says Ghanaians can expect an announcement of major investment in tertiary education to ensure free SHS graduates get access to tertiary education.
One, the implementation of the free SHS and how monies are supposed to be disbursed to people who are supposed to be using such monies for the running of the free SHS, being it senior high schools, being it funds that are supposed to be used to procure food, funds that are supposed to be used to procure all the other essentials that allows for the implementation of the free senior high school education. With respect to tertiary education, I have seen a GET Fund document that is allocating about 60 to 70% of its resources to expand tertiary education so as to be able to take up the number of senior high school students who have churned out from our senior high school. So I want to see how the finance minister will play that also out so that we'll be able to expand infrastructure in our tertiary education so that the number of people who completed senior high schools will be able to have their day in the tertiary education.